Many people like to call this one here the king of all steaks, and that's because it's a beautiful long bone tomahawk. You can clearly see that this one is 1.5 inches thick, and don't get me started with the bone, because we have proven already that is just for show. Obviously, the first thing we gotta do is to get it seasoned. For that, I like to go really heavy with a good amount of salt, followed by freshly ground black pepper and garlic powder. And if you think seasoning both sides is not important, well, I'm sorry, it is. Always season both sides. Now, one of the best ways to cook a tomahawk steak is sous vide. It will ensure that everything cooks nice and evenly, and most important, it allows you time to go ahead and prepare a lot of other things. This is one of them that I'm talking about. It is a compound butter, but not any regular compound butter. It's made out of wine, it's delicious, and it is easy to make, and here's how. The first thing is to get some finely diced shallots. Then into a skillet, I threw in 4 tablespoons of butter. Threw the shallots in there and let it cook for 2 minutes. We don't want any coloring. Then I added 1 bay leaf and a chunk of thyme. Add your favorite red wine. Try not to go too expensive on this one, because the next thing we gotta do is to burn off the alcohol. For that, just let it heat up a little bit and use a torch. This is completely unnecessary. Just letting it simmer will also evaporate the alcohol. However, it does make a good show. And I used to think that all of the alcohol will burn off. Even though most of it will, there's still a little bit left. So keep that in mind if you're making this for children. You want to let it cook and reduce almost to nothing. And if you are wondering how much I added, we're talking about half a bottle. Because once everything has been reduced, the next thing to do is to go ahead and strain it. All that work for this liquid gold. And make sure you squeeze it as much as possible, because you should be left with something like this. That is exactly what we're looking for. The only thing left to do now is to combine this with 1 full stick of butter. And if you think that you can just throw it in a bowl and start mixing it, no. It's not going to work. Trust me, I've learned that the hard way. It has to go into a food processor or a blender. Turn it on until everything is fully combined, because once you have done so, you should be left with this. Now that is what I like to call wine compound butter. The only thing left to do now is to roll everything up in clinch plastic and let it rest in your refrigerator until everything solidifies. Check it out what you're left with in the end. That is perfect for that beautiful tomahawk steak. Now, of course, we're gonna need a side dish to go along with that beauty. And for that, we got some awesome chips. The one on the left is store-bought, and the right one is homemade. For store-bought, this is the one I'm using. As you can see, it's not a perfect chip, but hey, it's still nice and crunchy and it's good. But the big question is, can we make it better at home? And most importantly, is it worth it? Well, let's find out. I'm using these gold potatoes. At least for my hometown, these are the best ones to make mashed potatoes. So I know they'll be fantastic as chip as well. To make this worth your time, I highly recommend using a mandolin. Be extremely careful. The last thing we need is for you to cut your finger off. Definitely use the guard. I'm looking for very thin slices. And one thing I highly recommend is to leave them in water until you're ready. If not, they'll oxidize on you real quick. As you can see, the mandolin made quick work of this thing. I did a whole bag in under a minute. One of the things that prevents the chips from getting crunchy is starch, so I highly recommend washing them at least 2 times. Then if you want real crispy, the next step is to make sure every single one of them is nice and dry. Remember, we're going to be deep frying these, and hot oil and water do not get along. Now I'm going to be trying a method that I saw online that is becoming quite popular. However, I am very skeptical, and that is to fry the whole thing at once. So after throwing all of the chips in there, I filled the whole thing with peanut oil and made sure that every single one of them was covered with it, because the next thing to do is to take it outside and put it on the stove. You see, the theory is this. We're looking at a fried temperature of 350 degrees Fahrenheit. With this amount of potatoes, it can take up to 20 minutes just to get up to that temperature. And at the same time, you do not want to stir it too much. This method says let it fry up and trust the process. Just occasionally mix a little bit. But after 30 minutes, look what I was left with. Oh man, that's a disaster. This is the worst way to cook potato chips. Instead of saving time, is just a complete waste. And if you have seen this method and used it and you got good results, let me know what I did wrong, because this is a complete nightmare. The right way to do it is the old-fashioned way, frying them individually one by one. Yes, it's a tedious process and a long one, but if you have the patience to do it, you could be rewarded with something special. As you can see, my whole goal is to let them fry up until I get a nice beautiful color. Since they're so thin, I know they'll be fully cooked. As you're taking them out from the oil, make sure you throw in some salt as they are still hot, because once you are done frying your entire batch, this is what you're left with. Now these are potato chips. Do you think it's worth doing it at home? Well, you're gonna find out real shortly if it is. I also made an incredible dipping sauce to go along with it. Into a bowl I threw in 2 tablespoons of mayo, followed by 1 teaspoon of garlic paste, another one of mustard, a good amount of Mexican crema, followed by sriracha, a pinch of parsley, mixed it well, and my dipping sauce was done. As always, exact amount and ingredients always on the description down below for you. Now this will definitely take your chips to a whole new level, and I'm wondering how it's gonna taste with the Tomahawk. Talking about that, I'm setting my sous vide circulator at 135 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 hours. I am confident that it's gonna cook the Tomahawk to perfection. Tell me one thing, everybody. Potato chips and steak. Come on now. That is the perfect combination. The big question is it worth making potato chips at home? Is it gonna actually be better than the one that you can just buy it in the store? It's way too convenient. Well, we're gonna find out about that real shortly, because the steak is ready. Remember, I cooked it at 135 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 hours. That should be perfect medium rare in the middle. We are hungry, it is ready, and it's time to take it out. Let's do it. You see, let me explain something to you guys. I've been cooking sous vide for such a long time. I know when I open up that bag and I take that steak out, if something is good or bad. And this Wagyu Tomahawk smells amazing, everybody. At the same time, it needs a crust. That's one of the bad things about sous vide. When you take it out, it is not 100% ready yet. You gotta put a crust on it. Now here's the plan. I'm gonna be first searing it with the flamethrower, putting a nice beautiful crust. Once that's done, I'm gonna be putting it on a steak plate, because those wine compound butter is gonna be laying right on top of it. As I'm melting it with my flamethrower, I don't want it to go to waste, so the steak plate will catch everything. That way, we can even use it as a dipping sauce. But I know what you're thinking. I know my steak don't look that good right now, but watch this. All right, everybody, here we have our beautiful feast today, Angel. Are you hungry?
It looks like we got a lot of chips.
Yeah, a lot of chips, man.
It looks like we got a whole lot of chips.
Yeah, I don't play around. When you make chips, you gotta go all out, you know what I mean? Yeah, we have a beautiful steak here, also with an incredible compound butter. I cannot wait to try it. But at the same time, I wanna know about the chips. We have chips number 1, chips number 2, and I wanna know which one is better. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right, which one you wanna go first?
This one.
All right, let's go for it. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Crunchy.
It's like perfect.
I know, crunchy, but not too hard crunchy.
It's like a crisp
Yes.
crunch.
I couldn't have not said it any better. Try with the sauce, check it out. I don't want to be biased, but I really like that one.
Bias.
Huh?
Mental note.
Try this one.
Completely different thing.
Which one has a better flavor?
Flavor.
Yes.
This one.
Oh man, that one is winning everything then. This one here is a little bit of work because I made it myself.
There's the bias. That one you bought it.
Exactly.
You biased for sure.
Yes, that's why I'm biased. So yes, this one here tastes better. It's a nicer crunch. It has a better flavor, a more potato-y flavor.
Very potato-y.
Exactly.
Mucho potato.
Long story short, everybody, if you have the time, make it yourself. It's gonna taste better. It's gonna give you a better overall experience. If you don't have the time, just buy it. Enough about this potato. Now I want to try the steak.
Now we're picking up the fork.
All right, let's see. Yes, now we're really going for this.
Now we're going for it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that's smooth right there. I can't pinpoint everything.
Yeah.
I know that there's probably wine in there.
It's so good. Oh, there is wine. There is wine. Good job. You
It's
need a
fancy.
suit and a tie to eat this steak over here.
This steak came wearing a watch.
A Rolex?
A Rolex.
Oh.
This steak is a fancy bro.
This is a fancy boy. Anyway, guys, these are the results. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe for future videos. Remember, if you're interested in anything I use, everything is always in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.